So I ended up I told myself my last semester I'm going to go to daily mass twice a week. I'm going to do a holy hour twice a week, and I'm just going to figure this thing out. Hopefully God kind of lets me know what He wants me to do. And so I did, and it was great for me. I found a lot of peace, and I prayed a lot about jobs, and I prayed a lot about my relationship. And it just seemed like no matter how I prayed or what I prayed, it's almost like God was saying to me, all that sounds great, that job sounds great, that life sounds great, but don't forget about me, don't forget about the priesthood. Yeah, I'm from Linton. I grew up on a farm about 20 miles west of Linton. Great family, great Catholic family. Went to church every single Sunday. And I think the first time I ever thought about the priesthood was probably my first time serving Mass. It was actually with Father Austin Vetter, who's now Bishop Vetter. And after Mass, when he was doing the announcements and everything like that, he announced that it was my first time serving. And he said, he was telling people that I did a great job, which I don't think I really did a great job. And he's like, someday he's going to be where I am. And I was like, it just kind of got me thinking a little bit. And then he's like, and then next, he's going to be the Pope. And then everyone started laughing. But it was a good thing to get, kind of my mind kind of thinking about it, looking back. But I was probably too young to really kind of understand what it actually meant. Fast forward probably through high school. We had a great priest that came down to Linton, Father David Richter. He was very instrumental in my life and my formation to this vocation. And he was just great. He would invite us to go golfing, invite me to go golfing. He would have gatherings at his house, grill, and we'd get to meet the seminarians and deacons that were visiting over the summer. And it was really cool to see that, priests were just normal dudes, and they just loved Jesus and they knew Jesus, and that's obviously very attractive, and it was very attractive to me. But then it all kind of changed. My senior year of high school, I met this great gal from Linton. We started dating, and I kind of put the priesthood on the back burner. Decided to go to college, went to NDSU, like I said, I grew up on a farm, so I went into the egg industry, went to study egg business at NDSU, had every intention of taking over the family farm someday. And I lived a pretty stereotypical college life, parties and all that stuff. It was a great place for me to grow. It was a great place for me to grow up and kind of figure some things out. And one thing that I was blessed with in college, and it was kind of inspired by Father Josh Walt's vocation story, which he gave down in Linton when I think I was a sophomore in high school. And he said that one thing that you should do in college is you should go to Sunday Mass, and you should go to confession regularly. And I did, and I took that to heart, and I never missed Sunday Mass, and I went to confession at least once a month. And it's a great grace that God gave me in my life, and it helped me to be where I am today. The last semester, things kind of became pretty real. You start applying for jobs. I was still dating this great gal, and so I just kind of told myself that I need to kind of figure some things out. I need to figure this out. And the only way that I knew how to do that was to get closer to God. And I realized that Sunday Mass just wasn't going to be enough. So I ended up I told myself my last semester, I'm going to go to daily Mass twice a week. I'm going to do a holy hour twice a week, and I'm just going to figure this thing out. Hopefully God kind of lets me know what He wants me to do. And so I did, and it was great for me. I found a lot of peace, and I prayed a lot about jobs, and I prayed a lot about my relationship. And it just seemed like no matter how I prayed or what I prayed, it's almost like God was saying to me, all that sounds great, that job sounds great, that life sounds great, but don't forget about me, don't forget about the priesthood. And it was so frustrating to me at the time because, I wanted this life, and I wanted, these things that I thought that I wanted, I guess. And, it just became frustrating. And then all of a sudden, COVID hit halfway through my last semester, my senior year, which meant no more daily Mass and no more adoration. So I kind of put a toll on that. So I ended up graduating in the spring, graduating college, took a job in Mandan at Dakota Community Bank as an egg loan officer. It was a great job, and I was in Bismarck, Mandan, which was great. I had a lot of friends in Bismarck, Mandan, it was just a great opportunity for me. I was probably getting paid more money than I deserved coming out of college. Yeah, it was great. And then that fall, my girlfriend and I ended up breaking up. And it was just kind of because I just didn't really know what I wanted. I still had a lot of thoughts about the priesthood. And this just kind of caused me to not love her the way that she deserved to be loved. I could only really love her with half my heart because I had priesthood still in my heart. So I kind of just needed to figure some things out. And it just caused me to kind of live selfishly. And even a couple months after we broke up, I still kind of lived a selfish life. And, I kind of just hit this low point where I was like, man, what are you doing? Like, you have this great job, you have these great friends, this great family, you have this great girlfriend, and you're still not happy. Like, what are you doing? And then that's just kind of where the thoughts of the seminary, thoughts of the priesthood kind of came flowing into my head. And so I ended up, I finally decided that this is probably as good a time as any to meet with Father Dosh. And so I met with him, and it was a great meeting. And kind of just decided that I just needed some more time to pray about it and think about it. So I probably took the next month or two to really invest in my discernment. Started going to daily mass every morning. After work, I'd go to adoration and just really try to figure out what God wants me to do. And it was great. I found a lot of peace thinking about the seminary. But like most guys, and I'm super stubborn too, I wanted a sign. And I've listened to a lot of vocation stories, and one thing that I found that a lot of guys kind of have is that it seems like they have like an old lady come up to them and tell them that they'd make a great priest. And I was like, all right, that's my sign. That's what I'm going to pray for. So I prayed that God would have some old lady come up to me and tell me something along those lines that would get me into the seminary, if that's what he wanted. And so it's kind of funny, like the next 1 or 2 weeks, I almost like seeked out old ladies as I saw them and would say hi to them, and they would say hi back. And I was just kind of thinking to myself, like, do you have anything else that you want to say to me? So needless to say, none of them ever said anything about that. But that's one thing I found that's beautiful about following God is at least in my own life, is that he never ever does anything the way that I want them. He always does them differently in ways that are better, in ways that I never could have thought about, and which is awesome. So my sign kind of came one night. I was in adoration at the cathedral. I was sitting in the back of the chapel, and my mind was just racing, a lot of thoughts kind of pouring through, and I couldn't really focus. I couldn't really pray. I was kind of just really frustrated, so I ended up getting up, and I went to the front of the chapel, kneeled right in front of Jesus, and just tried to calm myself and looked up at Jesus, and just felt an overwhelming peace. And it's almost like he's just started revealing things to me, just memories of my past, the way he's been forming me, the ways I've reacted, some good, some not so good. And but it was just so beautiful, and I just felt a crazy peace, and I actually started to cry. And it's hard to explain the feeling, but only way I can explain it was just a closeness to Jesus that I've just never felt before. And so I was just kneeling in front of Jesus, head down. Every time I look up, just start crying some more, so I'd have to look down. The guy next to me probably thought there was something wrong with me, but it was just beautiful, and it's something I never felt. So then the next day, I decided that I'm going to make a good confession. One thing I always thought when people say that they make good confessions, I always think like, oh, it's been 5 years since they went, or they have all these sins, but which is true. But for me, I've gone to confession regularly. But for me, it was just like Jesus just allowed my heart to be open in a way that it's never really had before. And so I went to confession, and I kind of just opened up and poured everything out to the priest. Things I've been struggling with. The way I've been living my life. I mentioned the priesthood, and he invited to meet with me, or asked if I wanted to meet with him. And so I said yes. The priest's name is Father Jared Johnson, and we've been meeting regularly ever since. It's been a couple months now, just talking about the faith, getting to know each other, hanging out. And I've been truly blessed and just grateful of what he's done for me, along with Father Dosh, and I've gotten to hang out with Father Wolf as well, the other priest at St. Mary's, where I've been going to Mass. And it's just been great. So I met with Father Johnson, and we kind of talked about it, and I told him my story, and just been praying about it and discerning, and we both kind of decided that the seminary is probably the best thing for me and it's time for me to give Seminarian God a chance. And so here I am, and I'm pretty confident in my discernment that seminary is where I'm supposed to be, and maybe someday the priesthood.